Welcome back on the AM show. Time now for us to delve into the newspapers, and it's quite a lean diet we're on this morning. Only two papers that we have this morning, the Finder newspaper and the Daily Guide. But ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to one of the editors here at Joy News. He's a man of very few words, but very, very capable. That's what he does. In the newsroom, you would usually see him quiet in there. We either call him Honorable or Your Excellency, but he's no politician. Elton Broby, a very good morning. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah.
Hey, now what stroke of good fortune brought you our way this morning?
Oh, it's Friday, so anything can happen.
With your lovely outfits on Fred Perry, Charlie designer where they are to be bro. Anyway, so this segment is brought to you always by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and even before I get into that, do you check your prostate? Elton John Broby.
Yes. But the last time was like, let's say, 2 years ago. I was at a program about prostate, and we all made to go through.
You were all made to go through.
Yes, I did, and I came out clean.
Okay.
But from that day up till now, I have a cousin who is a pharmacist. So he says that once you are a man, you are prone to it.
Yeah, especially right after your 30s.
Exactly.
Now, you don't wait till your 40s or 50s.
Exactly.
30s, start checking.
It is very easy to get it. So, fortunately, there are drugs that you can help, that you can take that will minimize, your level of contraction.
Yeah.
So, I have been on it. Yeah.
That's good. I check every year. This year, I'm yet to check.
Okay.
I usually check around my birthday. So, I'm about 3 months late. But I'll still do it. When I do my general medical, I add that. So they'll check your PSA and other things. And taking little things like tomatoes and all of that.
It's very important. In fact, now
they keep your prostate healthy.
In the US, for example, in some of these big companies, now if you are 50 years old, it's compulsory that you do it every 6 months.
Wow. Yes. Not even a year?
No, every 6 months in the US, in most of these companies. I was reading about Morgan Stanley and Chase Bank.
Right.
They have a policy. If you are a male employee and you are 50 and above, every 6 months you go through it. In fact, there's part of your engagement with the company.
And that means they are likely going to foot the bill.
Of course.
Our companies here can take a cue from that.
Yes, in fact, they need very, a healthy human resource to work. And one of the things they're taking upon themselves to ensure that they prepare themselves for the future. So if you are 50 and above, every 6 months you go through this exercise.
Wow.
Fully paid for by the company.
Wow.
And if there is a health challenge that they need to deal with, then immediately they can get to it.
Imagine that. And that is why we're proffering for you this morning. Nowadays, to fibroid and seminal and dorsal, everywhere. I can't count the number of friends I've had who have either had to go undergo medical procedures or have had surgery. Unfortunately, I remember one who passed. Hers was very frequent. At the point, we all thought she was pregnant. And it wasn't.
But in fact, I know somebody who complained of persistent headache, especially in the night. It went on for a while. She didn't know what was happening to her. So she went to the hospital. And then after a series of tests, it came out that she didn't know that she had fibroid.
Right.
And that was the reason for the persistent headache, because it was draining her blood. And now she's been asked to prepare herself to go through surgery to correct the anomaly.
So some sort of hemophilia or
something. The issue about us is that in our part of the world, consistent medical checkup is something that we normally do not do. In fact, when we wake up in the morning,
because of the cost, people will tell you because of the cost of these things. But what I say back is, which one is more costly?
Exactly.
Not going for the checkup and finding out much later that maybe you have a fatal illness or a terminal illness, or to know. And a lot of these things, when you find out right from the onset, even with the cancers and the rest, when you find out from the onset, dealing with them is
very, very easy.
Your chances of survival almost 100%. But when you find out much later, when you are in the last stages of, there's nothing that can be done. That one you waste a lot of money.
Absolutely, yeah, with that. I mean, it's almost like buying fuel from cheaper source, and then thinking that it's very cheap as compared to the recognized
premium fuel,
and then it end up damaging your engine. Then you spend so much money to go and replace the engine.
Now, who calls them? So that is why this morning, very quickly before we get into the papers, I'm proffering for you Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. Now, let me tell you a bit more about them. They are offering the very things we're talking about. Prostate screening if you're a man, for free, gratis. If you're a woman, fertility screening, for free. They're not charging you anything. And here's where you can locate them. Here in Accra at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. They are also in Kumasi, Nkrumah here, behind the Angel Educational Complex. Then let's go to Takrady. You can find them in Anaji State Tema Community 22. There's Techiman Hanswa and Siama in Zima. If you'd like to call them, these are the numbers to call. 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease, but just helping us start the news review segment. And like I said, it's a lean morning. I have only the Finder newspaper, and Elton has the Daily Guide newspaper. We'll be getting into them shortly, but I just want to find out from you. This week, a lot of things have happened.
Yes.
Topical issues. There's the IPP situation, which we'll be getting into, which I'll get into when I share my blunt thoughts. And let me just let you know, this is what I have titled my blunt thoughts today. Doomsday looming, democracy blooming, and election 2024 brewing. My take. Doomsday looming, democracy blooming, and election 2024 brewing. My take. That's so it gives you a fair picture of what I have decided to focus on.
It runs very well with like some rap music. You know?
Please, this is not trying me. This is not trying me. Don't try me here. Anyway, so what are your most topical issues from the past week?
So I can easily pick from the basket of issues that we have, and the one that is standing out is the fact that we are just few hours away from the IPP's fruition of their plans. Now we know last week when I spoke to the CEO of the chamber, that
is it
yes,
Ametogbo?
Ametogbo. 3 had already gone off the grid because three. So they're only 6 working now, and I think collectively they contribute almost 45% to.
That is the 6.
Yes. The 6. So
because I know generally all of them contribute 60 plus.
Yes,
to
So those are the figures that we have been given. Now, bottom line is that they've been on this matter for close to 2 years now. They've been asking government to pay them the amount of money due. Now, as of today, we know that the debt has risen from $1.4 billion to $1.73 billion.
Because just how many weeks ago were we talking about 1.4?
Exactly.
Now it's 1.7.
1.73.
That's an additional almost $300 million.
Exactly. And as we speak right now, it's
still increasing.
It's still increasing.
Hey.
And the thing is that I understand that some time back, because ECG is leading these negotiations with the IPPs, because per agreement, they sell to ECG, and the ECG sell to me and you. So their first port of contact is ECG in terms of their, the money.
Yeah.
Even though all of them sits in government books. So my understanding is that some time back they came to some agreement. ECG said that we have cash flow issues, so we'll not be able to clear the debts all in one. So we'll be able to pay 15 million Ghana cedis on a monthly basis, and the IPP said that it was inadequate because of the amount of money involved.
Right.
And for that reason, they had put on the table 50 million Ghana cedis per month.
50 million?
50 million Ghana cedis per month. And ECG could not meet this. I understand that negotiation is still ongoing. The ECG managing director has promised to give us an interview today to tell us how far they've gone in resolving this particular matter. The IPPs on their own says that there's not been any proactiveness from government side to deal with this matter. And that's the reason why they sent out the email to their members, asking them to stand their grounds and not to backtrack from their position that unless government is able to fund or settle the $1.7 billion, or at least $500 million out of it, they are going to switch off their plans. And that would mean intermittent power supply to the nation. Now, let me just go through the email as we have it, and this is captured in the Daily Graph. It says that the Chamber of the IPP has issued a directive to its members to suspend power supply to the national grid starting July 1, 2023. That's tomorrow, a few hours from now. This decision comes in response to government failure to address the outstanding arrears owed to the IPP. In an email sent to the members and obtained by a section of the media, the chamber instructed each IPP to nominate nothing and not declare an availability to the system operator from July 1 to July 8, 2023. The deadline for the shutdown was set up by the IPPs after the demand for a 30% interim payment of the arrears were not met. Now, as we speak, we do not know how much government is willing to commit to this. Government is banking on a promise by the World Bank for additional $2 billion to support the economy, and then part of this will go to the payment of the IPPs. So,
but that is yet to come.
That is yet to come. In fact,
and we have a deadline.
There's no indication that it will come today or will come before tomorrow.
Or come in the next 3 months.
Exactly. I think what the IPP has been asking for is engagement. Convince them.
No, but is it really engagement? Because as of this point, they say, Charlie, engagement in bro. We're not doing any further engagement. That's the latest rhetoric they've been spewing. They are saying, don't go there and we don't want any further meetings. All we want is the money. But you see, technically, you can also understand where they're coming from. Because what do they operate on?
Fuel.
And the fuel to power
yes.
the systems are secured with what? Money.
With money. And
so that's why they're saying to stay afloat, as of this point, we need a certain... I mean, in business terms, it makes some sense. But we are also in a tricky economic situation where we find ourselves, honestly, you can't just go and fork out $500 million and go and give it somewhere.
You can't. I mean,
it doesn't exist.
We still have
the first branch in the crowd. How much is it?
It's $600 million US dollars. I don't know whether... And that tranche, large part of it went to the Bank of Ghana.
Yeah, the whole thing went with to the Bank of Ghana.
Yeah, so liquidity is still a major issue in this country. In fact, it is a major challenge.
That's why you would still notice that the currency is still flip-flopping against the dollar. And
today, for example,
at a point it's almost 12 or a little above 12, then to come to 11. And sometimes I have problems with the central bank's, pegging because trust me, that is not what is out there.
Well, they say that this is just to guide. This is...
I don't know how much of a guide it is because if no one is using it...
So, I mean, we government need to deal with this matter as soon as possible because any other hit to the economy, and if this will come from electricity, I can tell you that it's going to be disastrous.
Schools,
cold
stores,
everywhere. We are
health facilities.
In fact, you are yet to recover from the reason why we went to the IMF. You are yet to recover from it. And some will even stretch and say that the impact of COVID-19 and the Ukraine war, we are yet to recover from. We are even lucky that the Wagner issue with Russia,
the Wagner one,
didn't come. Otherwise, it would have been the third, excuse. So we have a long way to go. The IPPs, they made their position clear. Government must at least commit to something. They say that ECG collected, they say that they collected some more 217 billion.
I'm not so sure of
not
the figure.
Not a penny has come to them. And for
you mean the millions that were collected by ECG in their recent
revenue collection exercise?
And they are complaining that, but ECG also has to run. They also have their own functional issues.
So the point that we need electricity. In fact, I don't want to sleep in darkness. And I don't know.
Yesterday, I was making the point forcefully here. Look, let's not pretend. And today, when I share my bland thoughts, I'll walk us through some of what we experienced during Doomsday.
Yeah.
Charlie, 2015 and the rest, and the 9 months, and all of those. Listen, it was crazy.
It was crazy. At some point, I was doing
crazy.
12 hours light,
12 hours
2 days off. No, I'm talking about some point.
Back to back.
Yeah, it was 12 hours a day, 2 days off. We've come a long way, and we don't want to go back to that day.
And that is my point, Elton. We've come a long way. And as of when, I say it and I insist, as of when the former administration left, at least the point to be made, whether the cost factor and all of that could have been managed better is another issue. But had Doomsday ended, they had given us enough capacity, in fact, excess capacity.
Right.
My question is, since that time, and this is where forward thinking is concerned. Look at Nkrumah. When he gave us Akosombo Dam, what was our population? Around 6 million.
Yeah.
And less. But he thought about the future. He knew the population wouldn't remain static.
Of course.
So at the time, people called him an idiot. Look at your population, look at the country and everything. But today, if we didn't have Akosombo, can you imagine what Ghana would be like? But over time, we failed to think ahead that your population is burgeoning. Now, you see why we've been exposed. Between 2016 and now, our population has been increasing. If you look at the latest census, Now we've hit 31 million.
Yeah.
We were not up to 30 million.
Yeah.
Once your population increases, once there are more people, your generational needs will also increase. So we used to shout a few years ago, excess capacity, excess capacity. Now, we don't have excess capacity.
So we don't have.
We failed to plan.
In fact, the projection is that by 2027, which is just some few years away from, in 3 years, in the next 3 years, if you are unable to renegotiate with these IPPs, we'll be back to doing so. Because most of them, the contract is almost about ending. Some just a year, some just maximum 2-3 years. And so the projection is that in the next 3 years, maximum 2027, if we are not able to renegotiate or have standby plans and they go off the grid, we are back to doing so because we will not be able to meet 50% of our demand. And that for me is something that we need to seriously address. Even now, what they produce, you are unable to pay. These are businessmen. Some went to bank to take loans to put together the plans. Some had their own resources, but whatever it is, they have invested. They need to recover their investments. Now, the thing is that they've produced power for me and you. I am paying for my electricity. If I buy power,
mind you, ours is not take and pay. It is take or pay. So they generate.
Yeah, they generate.
Use it or not,
you pay.
that is not their problem.
And that, for me, is one of the
tricky
lows,
areas.
The lows of the contracts that were signed.
But at the same time,
by that time,
while I agree, exactly,
we're in a fix.
It's like
So
being
everything that was
desperate
thrown at
as
us,
a business
we took
person.
it.
It's like being desperate for cash. You will go to a loan shark or you will go to a bank. There are people who even now are doing that because you're desperate.
Yeah.
When you're in a desperate position, you can't, and you see maybe that desperation to let the former administration, though they solved the problem, to overshoot it. Because of course, they were also looking at election 2016.
Of course, the foundation
of
this debt can be traced to the contracts that were signed at the height of our Doomsday era because we were desperate. We needed to fix this challenge. People came with proposals. We didn't have time to peruse them.
Right.
We just signed them.
Well, I don't know about not having time to peruse all of them.
Of course, but then if you should sign a contract that says that if I produce, whether you like or not, you pay me.
But
technically, there are questions that
Ghana is not the
answered.
only country that has had to go that way on the back of generational needs. But two things I want to say here. On the back of the IPPs, first off, like you said, many of their contracts are running out. We have to renew these.
You have to renew
the
them.
terms are going to change.
Of course.
And that is where we have the opportunity. But with the economic dynamic, and especially with our currency, it doesn't look like anything could get better. It likely would get a little worse. The other bit has to do with the fact that we actually need even more IPPs.
No, we need more. We need more.
Apart from those we have now, the 9 or so, we need more to meet our generational needs. And that is where, we've been talking about thermal and all of that. Look, nuclear.
Yeah.
We really have to look at, and I don't know about harvesting wind, but one thing that we can do here is solar. I think it is Morocco or Algeria. They have one of the largest solar farms across the world. I don't know why we are not up north, especially. It's like sunshine throughout the year.
We have shown the way that it is possible to also, be deliberate about adding solar to the mix. A year ago, I spoke to the CEO of WE, where they had, commissioned the 2.5 megawatts solar factory somewhere in Avarongo, and it's contributing effectively.
Yeah,
I mean, it's investment.
They even have this one sitting on a body of water.
Absolutely, we have abundance of sun. So why, if Tema, WE is a picking dam, you cannot rely on it on a 24-hour basis. But you run the water out.
Yeah.
Akosobo is contributing 600 to 800 megawatts. So it means that we've moved from Tema. Now we've moved from hydro.
Yeah.
Tema is expensive. Fuel is expensive.
Yeah.
And it's not going to come down anytime soon. Now it's around $78 per barrel. And you need it.
At least it's fallen a bit, but it's still
exactly.
It's still
very high. So you have to look at other sources. Nuclear is good. Solar, we have shown the way.
My fear with nuclear is possibly one of the best you can have. But you see, Ghana, maintenance, management. Because with nuclear, it's so good, it's so efficient, but a little mistake.
That's an issue. There will be an issue.
And it could be a major disaster.
Yeah.
You remember Chernobyl?
Of course.
It's not a joke. And with our ethic here in this country in terms of maintenance and being, incisive, we really don't have that. So for me, nuclear, my heart is in my mouth.
Yeah.
Honestly.
So, a couple. I think that government has to do something urgently. I know there's been behind the scenes discussions to avert this matter. The ECG says that the light will not go off. President Nkrumah has made the same point. The energy minister same. I know that they are aware of the implications of what is staring at us in the face. That if this matter is not resolved and the IPP switch off their plans, there will be a significant shortfall in electricity generation. And the effect is that our economy will take another hit, a hit that may be difficult for us to come back, to come out of it. So it is incumbent of government to do everything possible. In fact, I think at this stage, what the IPP needs is assurance and a commitment to pay them. Get ECG to
what they need is actually a plan.
Exactly.
Not just assurance, because they're tired of the assurance. They need a plan, a roadmap that says, you see what the ECG was trying to do, 50 million, they say 50.
Yeah, 50.
They need a proper plan that says, every month I'm getting this, or maybe I'm getting this in bulk for now. Every month you'll get this, and gradually this is how we are going to be able to pay. But if you look at the statistics, it will show you that every year we've been accruing about $500 million in debt on this. It's not sustainable.
No, in fact, the entire energy sector, that is $2.4 billion US. 2.4. IPP alone is 1.7 billion. But the entire energy sector, we've been Tesla.
Ghana, we are in a tricky place.
Yeah, of course.
When you pray for Ghana.
We need to get out of it.
Doomsday, never again. We don't. And look, trust me, if that happens, God forbid, if that happens, I don't see how
are we going to come out of this?
How, Charlie?
How are we going to come out of it?
I don't even want to think of it. Like right now, I am in denial, honestly. I don't want to get there. Yeah. I can't do part two.
No, I can't.
Because under Kufuor, we experienced a little bit.
Yeah,
it wasn't doomsday like but we experienced it. In fact, under Rawlings at a point. And Rawlings also did a lot in terms of, especially rural electrification.
Yeah.
We came to Kufuor, he did his bit, but that was really where the problems started, with the population bulge as well. Then Atta Mills, and then, you see, it was a problem that had rolled on and no one had tackled it. That was the problem. So let's not get there again, because, Charlie, right now, you and I, we can't afford that.
Can't afford
that. But let's get into the papers. Let's start with the Daily Guide.
So the Daily Guide has, on the front page, Boga MP dashes to Court of Appeal. Yesterday they were in court. I understand that they are yet to serve the Attorney General's office and then the trial judge regarding the application they've sent to the appeals court, challenging the decision of the court to sit on this case on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So, but because of administrative errors, the case has been adjourned until the 4th of July. That's Tuesday, where the court will sit on this matter.
Right.
And then also, but the man says that regardless if there should be a by-election in the constituency,
10 times, he'll win 10 times.
10 times he'll put himself up because he feels that he's the choice of the people.
Right.
I have no evidence Atuforsen was authorized. This is coming from Alex Mould, one of Atuforsen's witnesses that appeared before court.
That's an interesting,
very interesting. In fact, when
Alex Ibifia did not appear.
Yes, the former health minister.
Yeah, he did not appear.
The secretary says he's not in town and only do a video conferencing. But this man was called in as a former banker, or as a banker who has knowledge in the way some of these transactions are done. So he was called in as a witness for Dr. Atuforsen. Now, let me just read to you. He said, Alex Mould yesterday told an Accra High Court he has not seen any document indicating that Minority Leader Dr. KCL Atuforsen received an authorization from former Finance Minister Sektepe to write letters authorizing payment of ambulances which has landed him in court. Mr. Mould, who is Dr. Atuforsen's second witness, whilst under cross-examination by Attorney General Godfrey Dame, told the court that he has not seen any documents authorizing the accused to write a letter asking the Bank of Ghana to establish letters of credit in favor of Big C Trading Company, the company that supplied the defective ambulance to the government of Ghana.
And one of the entities involved has actually committed to paying some sum of money. Not, I think, over $2 million.
And that will cover everything.
Which it doesn't cover everything.
Okay.
It leaves, I think, a few tens of thousands or 100,000 plus, something like that, or more. But they've committed to paying quite a chunk
2 million
of the
euros.
money. 2 million euros.
2 million euros they want to pay.
I think it was 2.7 or something.
And their letter to the AG says that government should discontinue the case because they are willing to settle, and then they will take back the defective
ambulances. But that has been resisted by the AG.
In fact, they've rejected it.
They've rejected it. They've rejected it. But this makes for interesting reading because it was Ato Forsen's witness.
Yes.
Right? That he called. And this doesn't paint the best of.
In fact, this witnesses matter has become quite, milky.
And that's the thing
I mean,
in the court system. You can call your witness.
And then it becomes even the circumstance under which the witnesses are now before court. Some of them have to virtually be forced to not come and appear before
Alex Sebefia, for example, the health minister.
The health
at
minister.
the time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how this case, I don't know how this is going to end, but I mean, well, it's early days yet. So,
it's interesting, isn't it? The whole Atoforsen, Jachikwesin.
Yeah.
It appears if you have or sin at the end of your name, if you have sin at the end of your name, Charlie, these are not the best of times for
exactly.
you. Atoforsen, Jachikwesin. But these are all tests for our legal system and tests for our democracy as well. Though,
and this morning,
especially, no, go ahead.
And this morning, the Speaker of Parliament is saying that he's yet to come to the understanding why somebody will be taken through this process on a daily basis.
Yeah.
He says that he has issues with selective application of the law. If it is done to everybody, we have no issues with. But when it becomes selective, in his view, this matter is becoming too selective. He doesn't understand why Mr. Kwesi should be taken through the process on a day-to-day basis. He was speaking to Graphic. But anyway, as far as the court is concerned, this is not something that is unusual.
Yeah.
It's something that happens, and for that reason, if we are also asking that, if we also have challenges with how cases can drag in court for years, then if there is an expedited action being taken, so long as the rights of the accused are respected, and that they are given fair hearing, I do not see an issue here.
And some would be quick to point, for example, the Auditor General in his case and how long it took, about 3 years.
Yeah. In fact, there's one. There's the former CEO of the Cocoa Board. Is 6 years.
Opuni.
And
the Opuni trial.
They are even yet to get out
the Opuni trial
of the technicalities before getting to the main matter.
It's Justice Wairinuga and the entire circus that we've had to face, and the switch of judges. I mean, that in itself has been a pretty much of a test case for the judiciary.
But yesterday, did you listen to the Works and Housing Minister? He said he's got a plan to deal with the drainage system in Accra and parts of the country. I don't know whether you had time to listen to him. It was someone to appear before Parliament to answer the question. My issue is that
you are talking of Francis Asenso-Boakye. He should go and ask his former Samuel Atachia. What did Atachia not say about Nima? And how they would turn the place into what and
a first-class
residential area. And let's not even get into these. I like the thought of it, but especially with our trajectory, our path as a country, I take some of these things with the smallest, minutest grain of salt. Because look, even if we were serious in this country, look at Saglimi. There's a time when I used to work in the Pram Enclave, okay? Coming from Accra to that place was hell. There were others. You remember there were some put up by Kufuor, President Kufuor.
Affordable housing projects.
I mean, what are we doing to ourselves in this country? So even if Saglimi had problems, whether in terms of cost and all of that, now we've allowed it to deteriorate and all of that. Of what use is that to the taxpayer whose money was used for that? So utilize some of these things, no matter what administration. And I think one thing we must do in this country with our constitution moving forward, whatever the time may come when we change, criminalize abandoning projects.
It's very important.
We should criminalize it so that if you come and you do it, you go to jail. You serve jail.
But on the other side, if some state institutions like the State Housing Corporation, they were not given any significant budgetary support, yet they've been able to reconstruct abandoned projects started by previous administration. If you go to Adentan, for it, and they've sold it all
Yeah.
They've made money out of
Yeah.
it, even though they had no
Yeah.
money to go into
Yeah.
the construction. They've gone to the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, they've done same. They are moving to other regions. So if the ministry cannot, for example, complete the Saglami housing project, and then another state institution has shown that giving very little
Capacity.
resources, they can do it. Why don't you hand it over to
And
them?
now we are talking of giving out to private investors.
But my point is about the flooding,
you know.
the flooding, and the continuous assurance we get from ministers and state agencies that they are doing one or two to fix it. Now, the minister was in Parliament yesterday before the House. He was summoned to update them on what they've done so far to address the flooding in the Greater Accra and parts of the country. He says that he's got a plan to fix it. The plan, I know, was presented to Cabinet in 2001 by the same minister. We have a copy of
Did
that.
you say 2001?
2001. And the minister gave an update.
So by the same minister.
By the same minister,
Which year? 2021.
2021.
Right. You said
And
2001. That's why I wanted you to.
Yes, so 2021.
Right.
And the brief to Cabinet captured 2021 to 2024. What is needed to fix the flooding matter once and for all? And
Elton.
the financial muscle required to prosecute the agenda. As we speak today, if we want to fix flooding in Accra for 2023, we required 1 billion Ghana cedis.
Yeah.
Now, we know, for example, last year, the ministry's budget that was presented to Parliament, which was approved, was around 500 million Ghana cedis. Now, we've been told that less than 10% was released in the 2020 fiscal year. So, where is the commitment?
And-
is it just about
And
talks?
the point is, year on year, it becomes even more expensive to do it.
Yeah.
In fact,
But
was it last year
174
when
billion to
the
fix it
global
across the
climate
country.
adaptation, you remember Professor Verkooyen,
Yeah.
the Dutch professor, when we spoke about some of these issues, we were given, look, this is what it will cost for Accra to be flood free.
Yeah.
And this is what it is going to cost you in the next few years if you don't tackle the problem.
yeah.
Yet we are sitting. How many years have we heard Mr. President tell us? And then we move out. We go there with the machines and all of that. And yet every year, this year, people have died
Same script.
on the back of flooding. And you know what's worse? The heavier rainy season is right around the corner.
Exactly.
This is not even
This is just the
the
prelims.
worst one. That season is shorter, but it's worse. And here we are. We are sitting ducks. We are just waiting for it to happen. Anyway, let's. Are you done with the daily guide?
Yeah, so I mean,
Maybe I'll
a
get
few
into
other stories. Agenda 111 is progressing steadily. There was a press conference yesterday. They said that 88 are under construction across the country. Bank of Ghana took a bold step yesterday. They suspended the forest trading of Fidelity Bank and First National Bank. And then, so basically, I think
Those are the stories.
I think that's it.
All right, let me quickly do these from the Finder newspaper and then we shall wrap. The Finder, Akosia Menu celebrates Eid al-Adha with Muslims in Adenta. There's also Bank of Ghana fines, suspends FNB Fidelity Bank from forex trade over rule breaches. Then there's 4,700 new cars produced in Ghana since 2020. That's according to Prepra. I'll get into that story. And then complete 45 hospitals by end of this year. Government tasks Agenda 111 contractors. Okay. So, government has tasked contractors working on some 45 hospital projects which have reached advanced stages to complete them before the end of this year. This ambitious health care initiative, known as Agenda 111, which aims to construct 111 health facilities across the country, is making significant progress. So looking at the regional breakdown of district hospitals, the regional breakdown of district hospitals are Ashanti 10, Volta 9, Eastern 8, Greater Accra 7, Upper East 7, Oti 5, Upper West 5, Bono 5, Western North 5, Savannah 3, Bono East 2, and North East 2. Those are the projections. Those are the ones that we hope to finish. There's also 90% of 125 megawatts Osajefo power barge dismantled. That's according to the minister. And then 4,700 new cars produced in Ghana since 2020. I found this interesting. So, automobile companies assembling vehicles in Ghana have produced 4,700 vehicles between 2020 and 2022. This number represents 9.7% of the country's new market. The automobile industry in Ghana is valued at $4.6 billion in 2021 and is expected to reach $10.64 billion by 2027. Interesting
It's good news. At least some people have gotten jobs out of this. We are
so job creation. But I ask myself, how much really are we saving on the cost of the vehicles? Because it's basically like getting the parts, which are not produced here,
assemble them,
which are not produced here,
and then
bringing them from the Germany or the South Korea or wherever, and assembling them here. It doesn't take away much.
It doesn't take away much. And
they are still produced elsewhere and
everywhere. I mean, so instead of employing thousands, we're already employing hundreds.
Yeah.
But it's just the first step. Maybe in the next few years to come, we'll do everything here in Ghana. But then, if you want to take in terms of
because that's
job creation,
what we are doing now is already what Kantanka has been doing.
Of course,
they saw a scam and
they put together and then. But the point is that so these vehicles that are produced here, I know that most of them they produce and then they export to other parts of Africa.
Yeah.
And my thinking is that is there a plan such that me and you can just walk into the showroom and then take some of these vehicles and then there is a payment plan that is so flexible that
like you would find in other jurisdictions.
You will find other jurisdictions.
A lot of these people driving cars in the West,
and they are paying like $100
them
a
on.
month. Yeah.
But here, Charlie,
it is difficult. And then, what is the plan to fully implement the automotive, law, such that the dealership, because second-hand vehicle importation of second-hand vehicle is still, an obstacle for these people getting really into the market.
Yeah.
It is a big issue. Because they are producing, they are paying taxes. Other people are also importing and then selling. It is beyond the reach of a lot of Ghanaians.
Yeah.
So therefore, even how many people in this present economic condition are able to even buy vehicles?
Yeah,
it's difficult.
That's the situation.
And that is and that is one of the. I think maybe I will leave it to you. Maybe in the days to follow, we may open this discussion about taxing of sanitary pad, and then look at the other sides of the coin.
Right.
For example. So, if you are removing the taxes on sanitary pad, for example, I know somebody's
we have to go.
Somebody's going to court to challenge the decision. So, if you are removing sanitary pads, if you are removing the taxes, it means that, for example, me sitting here, you sitting here, you can go to China, bring in finished products. I know there are about 3 or 4 factories that are already in Ghana employing thousands. If we remove the tax, it means that their existence become an issue.
Charlie, this matter is something that we'll have to discuss. But interesting, very interesting point. We have been campaigning
because the point
against
is that
the taxes on sanitary products.
You remove the taxes and then these factories eventually may go off and then thousands of people lose their jobs.
The AGI
and then the taxes that you expect from them will not come.
But I feel it's
or
a
you remove the taxes and allow any individual to go and bring in finished products and then sell and make more money.
We can find a middle way through it. A very good morning to Father Amos Kwabena Kwansa, SMA. Thank you for being that wonderful person. And don't you forget the title of my blunt thoughts today, Dumso Looming, Democracy Blooming, and Election 2024 Brewing. My take. I've been joined by Elton John. Bro, Charlie, thanks for joining.
Yeah, have a nice Friday.
This segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. They're offering free prostate screening, free female fertility screening. Locate them here in Accra at Spintex opposite the Shell signboard. There's Kumasi Kronoma here behind the Angel Educational Complex. Takrade Anaji State Tema Community 22. There's Techiman Hanso and Esiama Enzima. You can reach them on 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But coming up...